finance meeting, finance committee meeting. Roll call, please. I'll just do it.
Oh, you can just do it.
David, here. Sorry. Look at me,
Okay, Mr. Fisher.
Here.
Ms. Jesser.
Here.
Mr. Dahl.
Yeah.
Ms. Reimer.
Yes.
Mr. Michelson.
Here. All members are present. We missed you last time.
Oh, we have to take a vacation again.
No, not yet.
No more road trips.
All right, I put forth a motion to approve today's agenda. Do I have a second?
Can we modify the date on the report? It says July 7th. We are- It says that the village council convened on the regular in-person meeting Monday, July 7th. We just got to update that date.
Where does it say?
Under the report, the first bucket. Of your agenda?
That's for minutes.
Oh,
Yeah, we'll do that.
no, that's on our agenda. That's Monday, August 25th agenda. Like, you've got the date right at the first part and then in the bucket, like in the table. What's wrong? I just downloaded it on the website.
I'm not sure I'm seeing what you're saying.
I know.
Oh, sorry, this is full council meeting. Okay, update that for full council, please.
Quickly.
Just kidding.
Before you.
Finance, never mind. You're right on finance. You're wrong on council.
Okay, so there's a motion to adopt the agenda by Mr. Fisher, was that correct? Is there a
Correct.
second?
Second.
Yes.
Because I went through
I
shenanigans.
know you were just trying to get me.
All those in
I was so
favor?
proud I got you.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
All right, do we have a motion to accept the minutes from our previous meeting, July 7th?
Motion to accept.
I second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Now, Eric, we will let you talk.
Okay,
The first item on our agenda is our financial package.
so you'll notice that there are links to the financial packets in our agenda, which I thought was kind of
Thank you.
a little ad there for anyone who wants to just go straight there. Good times. Okay. We have a full docket here. We'll start with the June financial report. Okay, for the month of June fiscal year 25, the village had a combined bank balance of $4,207,873.09. Of this amount, $151,379.16 could be found in the village's primary checking accounts, and $2,345,584.57 was in the high interest savings account. The remaining balance resides in other village dedicated funds. Village generated $111,258.73 in general fund income tax receipts. RIO was lower than June of the previous year by approximately 10%. Year to date was actually, that's higher by 7%. I apologize, that's a little unclear. The village already received the first biannual disbursement of real estate taxes, no change there. The village received $155,469.45 in general fund receipts. That number is $16,349.86 less than June of fiscal year 24. Again, due mostly to the reduction in RITA collections. The STAR fund earned $6,180.06. The Fifth Third Savings Account earned $7,199.64. Top pays for the month were payroll, John J. Jurgensen Company, which that is coinciding with the parking lot project, OPNF, US Bank, and OPERS. The total village general fund appropriation spent for the month was $146,262.98. That figure is $44,847.78 less than June fiscal year 24. It just, the way that the bills ended up getting paid, we went to an ACH program, which ended up getting delayed because Fifth Third wouldn't authorize our increased ACH. They gave us a $3,000 ceiling. We wanted a $50,000 ceiling so that we could actually pay these bills and not keep sending checks, which would sit and not get cashed for 2 months, which is, I mean, it was happening constantly. You'll see in the newer reports, there's like only 5 outstanding payments, which is amazing. That's what we like. But anyway, so that's why those bills were significantly higher, and why that number was 44,000 less than in June of fiscal year 24. Again, it just depends on the way that those bills line up. The village had five outstanding payments that totaled $1,550.46. We will continue to monitor appropriation spend and make adjustments deemed necessary. Can I move on to July?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Okay. So for
Do we have to
July,
approve that report or only in?
I'll ask for an approval for both. Just we can do a motion and second on both. I don't see why we need to. Okay. So for July of fiscal year 25, the village had a combined bank balance $3,909,236.39. Of that amount, $382,880.06 in the checking accounts, and 1.809. You'll notice a significant reduction in the high interest savings account. That's significantly due to different road projects, which finally came due. You'll notice Yosemite. You'll notice the intersection project. All of these things cost money. Obviously, we were putting in for reimbursements for the SORTA, and we'll be getting money for the grant money as reimbursements from Yosemite. But just a side point there. The village generated $214,214.37 in general fund income tax receipts. So REIT collections are higher than July of the previous year by 12% and year to date by 8%. So a little bit higher in percentage than previous month, but again, still trending about 8%. Village already received that the first biannual disbursement of real estate taxes. Again, no changes. The village received $145,473.94 in general fund receipts. That number is $13,102.72 more than July fiscal year 2024. Again, the easiest way to look at where these changes are is you go back to the revenues, look at the income tax, the top left box, it's $11,769.93 more. So that's approximately the difference. It means about a couple $1,000s off, but that's why we're up, which is always a good thing. That means that our money going in and money going out is pretty consistent. No real surprises, which is what we want to see. The village received, so again, that's $13,102.72 more than fiscal year of 24, again, because of the REIT collections. Star Fund, they're in $64.42.31, and the third savings account was $75.53.60. Again, I mean, I keep talking about these savings accounts and how much money we've earned from them. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars since I started working here that we've made from these bank accounts, these savings accounts. It's just good fiscal practice. Okay, top 5 payment pays for the month were, again, payroll, John Jurgensen, Alita, DPS, and OPWC. That's the Ohio Public Works. Those are actually the payments that we make for Stover, Vera, Elbrook, Yosemite, and one more. No, he was an outright grant. We got paid full. It's unbelievable. But more on that at a different time. Total village general fund appropriation spent for the month was $242,637.44. This figure is $47,761.35 more than fiscal year 24. July, again, that's 2 DPS payments in 1 month. So again, when you start tracking these things, you see a big number like that, and you're like, hey, that's really close to what we pay DPS. So our clerk went on vacation, and the check just came out in the first of the month instead of the last week of the previous month. So it makes no difference to us. They're not sending us to collections. They like us. We're friendly with them. But obviously, we try and keep that as consistent as possible. Village had four outstanding payments that totaled $248,336.50. Again, those are all those road projects, those outstanding checks from the previous month. Village administration will continue to monitor appropriation spend and make adjustments if necessary. If I can have a recommendation to council and a second.
Recommendation to full council on these 2 fiscal packets
To approve.
to approve.
Second.
Thank you. And you would ask for an all in favor on this
All
one?
those in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you, Eric, over there for a couple of points of how nicely he set it up on the website now and how he moved money to the savings account by getting us high interest savings accounts. We appreciate that.
You're welcome. I try and make sure that I don't cost anything. That's my goal. Okay. Do you want to move on to the next item?
Yes, let's move on to the next item.
Okay, so I'll preface this with a little bit of history. Back in 23, I was commissioned to perform a study of all of the council positions' salaries up to that point. Now, this is probably a moot point anyway, because as of now, the following, the legal counsel's opinion is that the following council cannot change their salary because the date to register has passed. That is my understanding of legal counsel, but in any case, it's probably an appropriate conversation anyway, which is that as far as we know, the Village of Gulf Manor has never raised the salaries, monthly stipends that council members get. Adjusted for inflation from 1985, council salaries should be about $4,000 a year.
Is that when council was started to be paid $100 a month?
We don't
1985.
know when it started, but we have no record of it changing, so, I
It's
think
not recorded in the charter?
it is not, it just says that it's determined by ordinances. So asking Ms. Cheney, who I think her
22 years.
And, I mean, she was, but it was 22 years, but it wasn't 22 years consecutive.
Yeah.
She had a significant gap. She remembers it always being $100. So I chose 1985 because
I think it was 1983.
I chose 1985 because that was the year that
1940s.
they went back in time to 1955. Okay, fine. All right, good. Anyway, so just adjusting for a 3% inflation from that time. There was also so again, my salary analysis that I performed in 23 showed average salaries in Hamilton County were just over $3,000. So still, and at that time, it would have been projected to be 3,600. So I'm not recommending this increase. I'm just
You just
sharing
did
the
that.
information of where it would be if it was in spirit of yonder years when money was money, right? So that's just something to consider. But again, that change would not be effective until the seated council of November of 27. That would be the earliest. So just something to consider.
And that is something we can vote on and change as council, or it goes on the ballot? I'm
That's an
confused why
ordinance. It's an ordinance.
Okay.
Council.
I don't know why election matters for that date, but whatever.
One more time.
I don't know why Rob said the election matters. if
Because the
it's
charter
important.
says that it cannot be updated. A council cannot change their own.
Yeah, it's for the
salary.
next council.
It's only for the next council, and the deadline for that is the last day for registrations to be added to the ballot.
Oh,
So that date was August
Interesting.
6th in order to
That
get
date
your
was
name on the
today.
ballot. However, right, so this is where things were a little bit unclear. Today was technically the last day that a person could put their name as a write-in, which technically could get you on the ballot. So therefore, I would have thought that was included, but Rob was not excited about that. He actually said that he would voice protest and saying that if council would move forward to pass such a thing, that he would say that he does not support that. Again,
I just said.
it is what it is. But the point is that it is a conversation that I think came up 2 years ago. It did not go anywhere. It was
Yeah.
brought to my attention again. So I put it on the finance agenda, and it seems to me that that's still an appropriate conversation to have.
Question. So you did that as a comparison to all of Hamilton County, not
Not
based.
all of Hamilton County, I think.
Oh,
it was
what did you do?
It was typically, again, I have to look at exactly what, because I took out like Evendale, because Evendale has like a $30 million a year budget, and they have.
So you
tons of businesses.
narrowed it
I
based on
narrowed it
like
based on
similar.
population.
population.
And similar general fund.
Okay. Not
like-
okay.
Like Reading was not included.
Right.
Actually, Reading might have been included just because their
See, this is always
population's not
the
so- but I
hard
mean,
part.
exactly, it was
Because geographically, we don't have another village,
Silverton is the
That's-
closest, and even. then,
but
it's
that's also not
comparable.
comparable,
Yeah.
right?
So, but again, what I did was I compared two different things, which is
Mhm.
one is just inflation,
Right.
strict 3% inflation throughout, which is approximately, I mean, it
varies, but yes.
3.1, whatever. And then going based on all of the municipalities that did not have significant salaries, I put in here.
Mhm.
So if they had a $10,000 salary, I excluded those. Otherwise, that number, 3,180.
Right.
Would have been higher, significantly.
What I suggest is what I would like to see is, I know this has come up multiple times and we all agree this is basically a volunteer role, right? But I think I've shared like, kind of all went into it knowing that. I think there's a couple goals that I would like us as a council to really work on and like solidify. Like we've talked about the strategic plan for a while and the lack of a clear strategic plan that we can actually like work towards. I think it is important to raise council salaries because you only get people who can actually afford to do this for free, right? And that doesn't always represent our makeup of the village. But at the same time, I think there's a lot of other things. We've struggled to actually get approval to pay for postcards to mail to our village. And we've struggled with other things like where are we actually putting our money and how do we actually invest it in building community, right? And like doing events, there's lots of ways to do that, but how do we actually do that? And I feel like that's been my hang up is I'd like to see us actually invest in community before we invest in paying ourselves more. But I do think if we have until 2027 to affect this change, I'd like to set a goal to actually do it at some point. But also for me, it's always going to be a no until we have, and I don't have the answer of like what those 5 things are that I want to have done, but I'd like us to set goals and actually meet some of them before we give ourselves a raise for doing a mediocre job. In fairness. But I appreciate the update and report, Eric.
No problem. Thank you, Brenda. Does anybody else have to voice their opinion on this topic? Zach, do you have anything to say?
I think a lot of things. I think it's important for the members of council to that opportunity, as Brittany said, to be open to everyone. I think at a certain level, there's almost like a buy-in factor a little bit. You know, I know all of us here signed up, whether we knew it was $100 or not, but essentially signed up for it to be, you know, effectively volunteer role. But I think there is a certain level of like buy-in and ownership where if I'm being paid to perform a job, you're more inclined to do it instead of I'm just kind of here because I'm willing to help out, and so I have very limited ownership over that. I think there's an element to that as well. And I think, you know, if we, you know, consider it sooner, consider it, you know, tonight at council or not, you know, if we pass it, it wouldn't necessarily go, I mean, when it goes into effect is for Rob to figure out with the county, I guess, whoever approves such things like that. So, I mean, it can be passed and Rob can look into when that goes into effect, you know, whether it's this upcoming council or the one in 2027, something like that. So, I mean, I think it's reasonable to you know, to increase the pay. For me, it's not really one way or the other. It's not really a money issue. It's more just, you know, buy-in and opening it up to people who can't just donate evenings of their time. I mean, I would be for it, but, you know, the timing of it, I don't have necessarily a hard, like, has to be tonight. I think we could do it tonight and, you know, see where the chips fall with, you know, when that goes into effect, but I don't think it's like the hill to die on, so to say. If that gives you any clarity.
So the truth is that at this point, it's very slim that it will get passed. Because it's already past 4 o'clock, the deadline of signing up. So, I mean, when I don't know if there's a way to do it today, if you send it in and it goes in front of court, but to become a write-in, you would have to be by the Hampton County Court of Elections at 4 o'clock to the following court. So I'm not sure if there's any option of still passing this for the next coming term.
I mean, just to talk with Rob in general, because I know at least one person who could potentially be voting isn't running for council. There's technically with the write-in candidates, 6 people running, which is more than the seats available. So you don't necessarily know. Well, there's one write-in candidate. Gotta check the website.
Yeah, but it wasn't approved yet.
Okay, one potentially approved. So I mean, what does that mean, you know, that council? It's not gonna be that council. It'll be a different makeup of different people, but, you know, also, that's just more of a curiosity.
You're being named.
than something.
We're gonna turn under the bus right now.
What is it, like your
We can get it done.
Voldemort, we said your name and now you appeared or something? Was that how that?
Really? So
No.
that's more of a curiosity than, again,
I
something
think you
to,
can say his name.
get stuff for and, the hills die. I'm just kind of curious on that.
I do believe that it makes a big difference even if something's a volunteer job. I know for a fact for myself, I like to volunteer places. And a lot of times you get burnt out of volunteer jobs that you're given to do. And you get all into it and it gets burnt out and it's a job, no matter what. What's going on, how you feel, you gotta do it. And when you do give pay for someone's work, then they end up putting more time towards it. Even if they're motivated because of volunteer, but they still put more time into it, that is my opinion. But anyways, at this point, it seems like there is no way to pass this. And even though I do believe that, but I'm not a lawyer.
Is that something I should know about? 'Cause I didn't hear.
Yeah.
It's the raise for
I
council.
represented your,
Yeah.
I represented your.
You can do it. How's that? I mean, can't do it. And you're only you're sadly your council meeting late. If it would have been done in July, it would have been okay.
Anyway, so this is something that I think we're gonna have to table today, but it should be a conversation before it gets too late. So Eric, if you could put on the calendar to bring it back up at a more appropriate time.
At the next meeting, you want it?
No, we can't, now it's not gonna be.
Oh, just put it being, okay,
In
no
a
problem,
year and a half's time.
no problem.
January of 2027.
Okay.
Plenty of time ahead.
When we know who the next council is.
That's before people can even pull papers. So it'll be the fairest way to do it, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Last item
Last item,
is PD injuries and overtime. Do you not have that on yours?
It's on there.
Later, I don't think so. Should be on your agenda in front of you.
all right, so go for it.
Okay, so it's really a quick item, but it's just something to make council aware of. This is when we talk about appropriations, I want to be as transparent as possible. Currently, there are 2 injured personnel in the police department, which is kind of a magic number for lots and lots of overtime. Not the conversation that we want to be having, but because there has been this is already the one budget was running just a little bit ahead of where it would be. Now with 2 injuries, it started going significantly ahead. So it's about 1.5% of where it should be, but 1.5% is not a small number. And it's not necessarily projecting to go down unless there would be a reduction of service, which again, my assumption is that council does not want to see a reduction of police service. So just to stay tuned, there will likely be an ask of between $15,000 and $20,000 of increased salaries towards the police department in the next finance meeting, which should be in a month, right? It's towards the end of next month. So it'll be a little bit clearer what that looks like. I think we're still waiting to hear back on one of the injuries. Is that correct, Chief?
Yes.
How significant that injury is, but at this time that employee is on light duty or is on light duty. Is that correct? Yeah. And the other employee, I don't know what his status is. He may be taking sick time right now. I'm not, again, I apologize. I'm not how far ahead.
If those happen on the clock or the proper injuries.
Chief, can you speak more to that?
Neither did.
Neither was on the clock.
My understanding.
I thought one of them was at a training thing. Yeah, it was at a training thing. So technically it wasn't while he was on duty, right? But he was on the
I don't
clock.
want to speak too much detail.
Okay, all right. Yeah, sorry. Apologies.
So from what I understand, we don't have our estimated return to work, so we're not clear on like how long the overtime situation will last. Is that, okay?
Correct. That's the issue is we don't have that clear estimate, and sick time is what it is. Thankfully that's what it's there for. But it puts a significant strain on the budget that would otherwise not be happening. And of course, now that we're getting towards the end of the year, we have to have uncomfortable conversations of how we're going to reduce spend. And those conversations have been had. But because we're talking about a personnel issue and we can't just move money from operations to personnel, that requires an ordinance. So even if we would say, hey, we don't want to increase the police budget a year, but we do want to move some money that they would otherwise have been used for equipment or something else, we want to move that into the personnel line item. I cannot do that as a fiscal
Right,
officer
understood.
without your authorization. So this is again, more of a heads up. It's not a, hey, we need $40,000 for the police department and there's no give back, there's no,
So-
it's
A couple questions.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't talk also pretty.
No, go for it. I talk a lot.
Couple questions. What does light duty entail and is there enough light duty work to fill a full-time? Is there enough needs for a full-time position that we'd be paying for light duty or is that?
I think that's a question that Rob could answer better than anyone else.
Answer from the chief.
Well, no, I don't mean in terms of the actual work, but isn't it? I thought.
And that leads into my second question of, maybe it's different. Police, I don't know, but like at my job, if I'm injured on my own time, that requires me to, that inhibits me from able to fulfill my job duties. So that, I have to do sick time or I have to go on like FMLA. There's
Correct.
like, I just don't get to just not do my role. And that's why I'm not claiming, I'm just, because this is a significant overtime charge.
Right.
I'm just wondering what the implications of it and if we're, being the most fiscally responsible. I know it's hard decisions, but that's part of.
Well, without more details, how they were injured, can't speak to that. I mean, I would agree with you that if it's off duty and they're injured, then it would be sick time, like anything, sick time, FMLA. Yes.
Right. So, yeah, and with sick time, the thought is there's still administrative tasks to do. So we could pay them to stay home and not assist, or if they're physically able to do some things in the PD, it's helpful. We're paying them anyway, so we can pay them to be here and assist if they're willing.
They're just not, but they're not using their sick days, right?
Right.
So, I mean, Chief, can you answer the question as to what entails light duty, what kind of stuff they're doing? And if there's enough to occupy even one officer for 40 hours?
Yeah, it's things like, second checking reports, crash reports. There's a lot of picking up and dropping off of things that we need to do. So instead of, Reed or somebody having to run something downtown at the prosecutor's office, we can have the officer on light duty do that. It does help the PD, it helps the clerk if she's getting lunch. There's a lot of value in it.
But how many, if you can, how many hours are we talking about a week? Can't quantify that now, I can't.
I mean, just, I know it's tough and I appreciate the chief, going to bat for his people and,
I think what you're kind of referring to is, well, if they can't help, put them on FMLA, and after 12 weeks, let's just flush them. And we can't do that in law enforcement.
I said nothing about flushing them. I'm talking about that we're gonna have $20,000 to $30,000 in
Well, that's why,
overtime charges
yeah,
that
if
we need
they're,
to pay for and it's not a decision like, it's not a calculation of, flushing people. I don't wanna flush anyone, but as soon as if someone's not able, if we don't have enough work for someone to fulfill their designated duties, it's a conversation we have to have.
yeah, so there's,
And I don't want to flush anyone. I don't want to have anyone leave that. I don't know where that came into the conversation.
well, what I'm getting at is, we try to use, instead of having, sick time being chewed up, when there are things that can be done, we'll let them do light duty. We don't want to rush people. We don't want to rush people, have somebody come back, before they're ready and get re-injured. So we try to be careful with this. We try to be understanding of the overtime. And and flex when we can. And having some of the part-time people that we have available to us definitely helps with that overtime. But I don't want to be in a position where I feel like I'm trying to rush anybody back. This is what I'm getting at.
Could we, at the next meeting, have a proposal of what we might be looking at in terms of overtime and where
Yeah,
somebody
that's
can
fine.
come
That'll-
from?
That'll come in the next.
I think that would be helpful.
Yeah.
Because right now, we've got the heads up, but we're not clear on like what that actually.
Correct. Again, this is, the heads up is
Yep.
because this came to, I think where this came from was also, the need to use overtime for the event, again, that all has to be part of the conversation.
What event?
The
The
concert.
okay,
Because right now, they're just ahead of where they're projecting ahead of where they should be for the year.
Uh-huh.
Which any
Right.
additional expenditures needs to be approved, that cannot just be.
Correct.
Right, used and then asked for forgiveness
so
later.
perhaps that's actually where we could have, because when is the event? Like in a week and a half? So maybe that's the conversation we could have of like, is there a way, because we won't be able to make a decision as council, right? We won't have the information you're preparing until end of September. That event will have already happened. Is there a way to scale back the police? Because I think normally we ask them to come in a community impact team, which is like if you have time. So perhaps that is an area that they could come and scale back and maybe not participate as the full community impact team, but just patrol it as they would anything else. Is that an option? To scale back cost at that point? What's the ideal scenario and what do we have? Right? That's the only wiggle room I see currently that we could address before you have a full presentation.
Correct. But again, it's not.
Or we
my-
could pretend I didn't say that and just go on, but
No.
y'all were asking ideas on how to save us money. That's an idea.
Chief, is being down two officers a safety issue? The current officers on staff can handle everything, but being down two means there's no,
Yeah, the longer it goes on, the more taxing it becomes.
You're burning out people with working over hours, yeah.
And the fact that we were able to replenish our ranks with experienced part-timers, some of which that have been one retired from here, that definitely helps us a lot.
so that's what the overtime is, bringing in the part-timers to cover or?
Overtime hours are on shifts when these part-timers are available.
Got it.
And then from some of these special events too.
I'm not opposed to Brittany's idea of not staffing, bringing everybody down as a task force, just to have them say hi to everybody all the time. Is that something that's do we need to have everybody down here, or can we just?
I'll speak with Captain Reed on what specific plans are with the team. Because the event's kind of been growing and changing a little bit recently.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll check and just see.
And like I suggested, it's not that zero participation, right? Because you obviously will be patrolling the park because it's a normal Sunday anyway, and you patrol the park. But what is a scaled back, right? Because I think we had them here at Juneteenth, and they don't need to do this sort of like standing around. I don't know how better to explain that.
The security.
Right. Like there was a 1 year at the fall thing where the one officer danced. I think it's the officer with the dog. He got down. Like maybe pick and choose where we like can get, because there's a con to this, right? They're not building relationships with the community, and understand that, but we also have to like care for our budget. So how do we do both?
All right, so our recommendation is to look into that and see what we can do. We appreciate that. Go with the motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Was that, you had something else to say?
Aye. No, aye. We're out.
Motion